Picture a country with a fjord on the Mediterranean. Yes, a fjord, the kind you see in Norway, except this one is surrounded by olive trees and medieval walled towns instead of Arctic mountains. The water is the same Adriatic Sea that Croatia sits on. The coastline is 50% cheaper than Croatia. The country is a third the size of Croatia, and almost nobody knows this country exists. This country is Montenegro. In the next 12 minutes, I will explain why Montenegro is what Croatia was in 2010, the three coastal regions every traveler should know about, the actual cost of a week here, the visa rules that make it surprisingly easy to visit, and the one mistake first-time visitors make that wastes their entire trip. But first, you need to understand what Montenegro actually is, because most people confuse it with other Balkan countries that have very different geography. Montenegro is on the Adriatic coast of the Western Balkans. To its north is Croatia and Bosnia. To its east is Serbia. To its south is Albania. To its southeast is Kosovo. The country is small, about 600,000 people, about the size of Connecticut. But what makes Montenegro extraordinary is the geography compressed into that small space. You have a coastline with cliffs dropping into turquoise water. You have mountains that rise to over 2,000 meters within 20 kilometers of the beach. You have alpine lakes. You have ancient walled towns. You have wine valleys, all in a country you can drive across in 3 hours. The climate is Mediterranean on the coast. The summers are warm and dry. The water stays swimmable from May through October. The mountain regions have their own climate with cool summers and snowy winters. You can swim in the morning and ski the same afternoon in winter months. Almost no country in Europe offers this combination. The coast of Montenegro has 3 distinct regions you need to choose from. First, the Bay of Kotor. This is the famous fjord, UNESCO listed. A long, deep bay surrounded by mountains with 3 medieval towns clinging to the shore. Kotor itself is a walled town from the 12th century where you can hike up the fortress walls for a view that rivals anything in the Mediterranean. Perast is a tiny Baroque town across the bay with 2 small islands offshore. Second, the Budva Riviera. This is the beach region. Budva is the busiest town with a small old quarter and a long stretch of beaches. Bisici, Petrovac, and Sveti Stefan are quieter alternatives. Sveti Stefan is the iconic photo of Montenegro, a small island connected to the mainland by a thin causeway, with stone houses built into the rock. It used to be a luxury hotel. Now it is closed, but you can photograph it from the road. Third, the Ulcinj coast in the south. This is where the long sand beaches start. Velika Plaza is 12 kilometers of sand stretching toward the Albanian border. The towns here have an Albanian and Ottoman character that feels different from the rest of Montenegro. Now let us talk about cost. The real reason most travelers consider Montenegro: a beachfront hotel in the Bay of Kotor in peak August, around 60 to 90 euros per night for a comfortable room with a sea view. The same hotel in Dubrovnik, 200 to 400 euros. A meal at a waterfront restaurant with fresh seafood, salad, and wine, around 20 to 30 euros per person. The same meal in Croatia, 60 to 80 euros per person. Local wine by the glass, 2 to 4 euros. Rental car for the week, around 200 euros for a small car. Public buses connecting all major towns, a few euros per ride. A complete week-long trip in Montenegro for one person, around 600 to 900 euros. All in, including flights from Europe. The same trip in Croatia would cost 1,200 to 1,800. The visa policy is also generous. Most nationalities, including Americans, Canadians, British, EU citizens, Australians, and many others, can stay 90 days without a visa. Indians need a Schengen visa, which works for Montenegro through a special arrangement. Quick interruption. If this country comparison is useful to you, drop a like. It signals to the algorithm to show this to more travelers planning their next country. Now let me explain why this window will close fast. Montenegro is on the exact trajectory Croatia was on in 2010. Croatia in 2010 was a hidden gem with stunning coastline and modest prices. By 2020, Croatia had become one of the most expensive Mediterranean countries, with cruise ships overwhelming Dubrovnik. The transformation happened in about a decade. Montenegro is roughly year 4 of the same transformation. Tourism numbers grew about 30% in 2024. Major hotel chains are building. The new airport in Tivat has expanded. The road network has been upgraded. Prices in Kotor and Budva are rising about 15% per year. The window where Montenegro feels like undiscovered Adriatic is probably another 4 to 6 years. Within 8 years, Kotor will be priced like Dubrovnik. Within 10 years, the Budva Riviera will feel like the Croatian coast in 2018. The travelers who go in 2026 experience something that will not exist in 2035. The travelers who wait we'll visit a different country. Before I tell you the most important insight about Montenegro, hit subscribe if this is useful. The channel covers undiscovered destinations across Europe and Asia every week, and growing the subscriber count helps the algorithm push these videos to more travelers. Now back to Montenegro. The aspect of Montenegro that almost no travel content explains. The country has a split identity that other Balkan countries do not have. Half of Montenegro identifies as Serbian culturally, half identifies as Montenegrin. Both groups speak essentially the same language. Both share Orthodox Christianity. The cultural mix creates a country where you hear Serbian music in cafes, see Orthodox monasteries in the mountains, and find pasta on every restaurant menu because of historic Venetian influence. This makes Montenegro feel like multiple countries layered onto each other in a small space. The coastal towns feel Italian. The mountain villages feel Serbian. The Albanian border region feels Albanian. The capital feels post-Soviet. This complexity is what makes Montenegro interesting beyond the beaches. Travelers who stay only on the coast miss most of what makes this country distinctive. Here's the truth nobody explains about Montenegro. The mountains are more impressive than the coast. The Bay of Kotor gets the photos. The beaches get the tourists. The Durmitor and Prokletij mountains get almost no one. These are some of the most dramatic mountain landscapes in Europe. Durmitor National Park in the north has glacial lakes, deep canyons, and peaks rising to 2,500 meters. The Tara River Canyon is the second deepest canyon in the world after the Grand Canyon. The villages in the mountain regions of Montenegro have not changed in 50 years. Stone houses, shepherds, wine made the same way it was made before electricity reached the village. The food in mountain Montenegro is completely different from coastal Montenegro. Smoked meats, cheese aged in caves, bread baked under iron domes. This is the Montenegro that almost no tourist sees. The travelers who go to the mountains often describe it as the best part of the trip, and almost no one writes about it because the photos do not work as well as a beach in a fjord. So what should you do if Montenegro interests you? First, fly to Tivat or Podgorica. Tivat is the closer airport for the Bay of Kotor. Podgorica is the capital and good for the rest of the country. Second, rent a car. The country is small, but the roads are slow. The pleasure of Montenegro is in the driving. The coastal road from Kotor to Budva is one of the most beautiful drives in Europe. Third, give Montenegro 10 days. 3 days in the Bay of Kotor, 2 days on the Budva Riviera, 3 days in Durmitor Mountains, 2 days exploring whatever you have not seen yet. Fourth, eat in family-run restaurants called konobas. Drink local Montenegrin wine, which almost no one outside Montenegro has heard of. Wines from the Krumnica region are excellent. Fifth, avoid July and August in Budva. The town gets crowded. Go in May, June, September, or October. The weather is still warm, the sea is swimmable, and the crowds are smaller. If you have always wanted to visit Croatia but found it too expensive or too crowded, Montenegro is the answer. Not because Montenegro is better, because Montenegro is what Croatia used to be. If this video helped you discover a country worth visiting, drop a like, subscribe, and press the bell icon. Tomorrow, another country worth knowing. See you then.